This one? I've seen this video, or at least I've clicked it before. 35 minutes. Actually good. Hey, that's a good start. $2,400 Starforge pre-built gaming. Okay.
We went undercover again to buy another Starforge pre-built gaming PC to review, and for this testing, we had to get help from a local CNC shop to mill a channel into an integrated heat spreader for a different CPU to validate a curious microcode thermal behavior. This allowed us to embed a thermocouple in the integrated heat spreader to confirm bugs in Intel's older microcode. For this review, we also made a custom 3D animation for educational purposes to help explain some counterintuitive thermal behavior, but one which actually supports excellent attention to detail for Starforge's configuration designer. And of course, get your shot glasses ready, because I'm going to say the word. Hemi-anechoic. We ran acoustic tests in our hemi-anechoic chamber to test for the fractal...
I don't know, the Loki case is like... I guess maybe I've had so many computers, I don't give a fuck about having a big computer anymore. I remember, like, I had one, and the case was so cool, and I was like, whoa, look at those lights. And then it was, like, basically carrying a washing machine in and out of the house every time I wanted to move it, which you don't move it much, but then you have it for a while, and you realize, oh, now that it's here, I don't even look at it. It's just a nuisance. I don't like lights flashing. I don't like anything crazy. Just work.
Acoustic test in our hemi-anechoic chamber to test for the fractal Terra hum problem. The last time we reviewed a Starforge pre-built PC, it was one of the better pre-builts that we'd looked at in quite a while. The major points of improvement for that one were screw torque, where multiple screws were loose on arrival.
Another one of these fucking screws.
And the peel being left on the SSD thermal pad. Starforge came onto the scene with relatively quick renown due to its ownership by popular streamers and organization from skilled PC builders and defectors from Artesian builds. We wanted to make sure Starforge didn't know where this pre-built was going, so we used anonymous burner accounts to buy a custom painted $2,400 Fractal Terra Mini ITX gaming PC with a 13600KF and a 4070 Super, and it even includes 7 millimeters of missing paint. Now you might be wondering what this text says. We spare no expense with our pre-built reviews. I actually hired a Norse runic expert to decipher the runes on the side of what they call the low key, except it's spelled wrong because it's funny that way. And this runic text says, Edfer for Orcs Magit meme. Now, I don't know what that means, but hopefully YouTube won't demonetize us for it. We brought you this video with store.gamersnexus.net. After almost 2 years of requests, we're finally bringing back a restock of our original drink coaster pack, featuring a carefully leveled and designed fan blade that supports drinkware with stability while representing a PC case fan in 3D with this soft rubberized material. It also has a motherboard coaster design with inductors, capacitors, and even CPU pins in this review. The third of 4 coasters has a densely packed GN logo. The fourth has a GPU on substrate packaging surrounded by VRAM. These coasters are great for catching condensation, are extremely easy to clean with just light rinsing at a sink, and are a high quality, flexible material. And they're finally back to support our ability to buy pre-builds for independent, unbiased reviews. We also just restocked our brand new copper-plated stainless steel mule mugs with a thermal conductivity formula for copper on them. These make an excellent pairing with the coasters. Support our educational animations, deep dives, and custom testing.
What's the benefit of using copper mugs again for, like, Moscow mules? There's some type of benefit for it. I don't know what it is. They just get cool faster, I guess. They stay cool. Or is it just aesthetics? Temperature maintenance. Okay, so they get cold faster and they stay cold. Got it. That's cool.
And get great drinkware and 3D PC themed coasters in return at store.gamersnexus.net. We're going to get straight into the review today because we have a ton of benchmarks to get through. The very brief backstory is that Starforge is a relatively new system integrator, or SI. They are based near Austin, Texas. That's where the assembly for the PCs happens. And Starforge functions as a system integrator relatively independently as we understand it. However, it is owned by OTK, or at least the members of it, which is a streamer organization. The company carries on a trend of streaming a lot of its PC builds to Twitch and I think elsewhere, but the streamers aren't the builders.
Nope.
normally.
Are you kidding me?
We never build. We don't do shit.
So where the fuck does this thing go?
Although if that were the build that we were reviewing today, it'd probably make the
patch is
teardown
up?
a
Okay.
lot more interesting. Speaking of teardowns, though. All right, we're going to start with a teardown. So the number one thing this needs to do is not have loose screws. I think we found like 6 last time.
Really got to figure out this screw situation, man.
Which, by the way, I don't think I've ever seen so many salute emojis for Screw Guy before. Hopefully he's okay. So this is the Fractal Tear. We've reviewed this case. You can check the channel for the full review. It has some pretty cool mechanical features, like the doors that swing up and detach like this with this like lever action in here. And then disassembles entirely very quickly. Internally, the first thing I noticed when we pulled that top off
cable management
was
is so
actually
clean.
this spine is very slightly bowed. It's curved.
Uh-oh.
And
Is
the
that bad?
reason this is because this particular case will allow you to shift the spine into these numbered positions, which these don't lock into place. You manually have to position it. And it does that so that the builder can bias the spine to allow more room for either the cooler or for the GPU. So they had to move it a little bit towards me to fit that CPU cooler. And what they did is they got this screw holding the spine in place exactly on the 3 on the line. This
Okay.
one's just a little bit off. And the end result is that there's a tiny curvature here. And so what I'm curious about is if we loosen it, if it's just going to kind of like pop back into place. This is the moment. This is the first screw. Is it going to be a loose one?
That ain't loose.
No. If Asman reacts to this right now, he's going like, oh my God, bro. The spine here in the center, it did straighten just a little bit, but it's also been kind of bent into place now. So anyway, that's something we'd like to see done. They didn't do any catastrophic damage. All right, so first thing I noticed here, cable management is once again immaculate, which is exactly what I said about the last one we looked at from Starforge.
Excellent.
You can see the attention to detail down here. So these front panel connectors, one of these is either SATA or USB 3, I can't see from here, but it's routed around that fan so squarely and cleanly right into the only channel where they have space. It's excellent. It makes sure that it's not ever going to end up in the fan, even in shipping. So that's well done. They've also routed these well and hidden them underneath the CPU cooler. So that's good to see. This one is tied in place tidily with the power supply sort of mount here. On the GPU side, they've also done well with cable management to get this nice bend in it and tidy everything up over here.
Dude.
With some other cable.
I just looking at this case, I wish I had this when I was actually traveling to like Europe and stuff. I would have just brought this and streamed on it. Like this is a full-on, this is as good as my computer, but it's just fucking puny. I had to bring shitty ass laptops that like sucked ass. Well, because they're laptops, they're limited. Even the best, most expensive ones aren't a fraction as good as an actual computer. I'm so mad I didn't have this.
Cables shoved in the bottom in a way that's pretty clean overall. So happy to see that. Now we need to get to what apparently was the most difficult part last time. This part. Let's see how they do. Let's start with the
Small
GPU.
PCs will overheat.
Was actually in
I mean,
there.
I don't know. Maybe small PCs have other issues that come along with them, but I bet for what I needed it for at DreamHack, these would have been phenomenal.
Good there. Okay. GPU comes free. I'm going to disconnect this cable, which is fully seated. No current complaints. All right, this part's going to suck because I'm going to have to undo all of their great cable management.
The cooling in this
to
PC
get
is specifically
further into the
is
system,
great.
but
He
we'll
explains
do
it.
that
Cool.
now.
Yeah, I don't know shit. It is. Even though, like,
no, false
I
alarm.
own part of Starforge,
Just
I
looking for like streak
don't know
damage.
anything.
I don't see any, so that's good.
That's no
Piling all the
secret.
screws up on our soldering mat on the store. Now the pain in the ass starts. That's good.
I think the only thing I ever recommended
I hope they gave Screw Guy another
was
chance. All right, cooler's gonna come off. This will let
to
us
put the
inspect
power
thermal
button not
paste.
on the top of the computer. And they actually listened. They're like, you know what? We had a choice between multiple cases, and we chose the one that didn't have it
that's
on
good.
top because of what you asked.
They used more than necessary, which is what I like to see. It's not going to hurt it. It's only a good thing. I probably can forensically identify whoever installed it. So keep that in case that's useful. But the thermal paste application's good, spread evenly. Pressure distribution is as you would expect for an Intel CPU, where you've got that curvature reflected in there. Then on the CPU itself, you can see we have full coverage, the whole IHS, and a little bit of spillover even. So that looks pretty good. Okay. That's a hell of a bend. Ouch. It's not going to hurt anything. All the cables were seated.
This hurt.
fully,
This
so
is
good.
hurting my
Don't
fingers
overstep.
watching them having to go in there.
Small interesting point, the RAM is exactly what they specify
Like, I
on
feel
the
like I can
website.
feel
A lot
it.
of SIs will just ship you RAM of roughly the same spec, but no specific.
Trying to pull something out that, like, how'd you
So
even get this in here at this kind of bend? It's your fingers get
Now,
caught
in
and shit.
Starforge's favor
I
here,
can feel
there
it.
are a lot fewer screws in an ITX PC build. So the grading criteria here is going to be a much harder scale. I will slide the scale to make it more difficult to pass. So
Dr.
far, all four of
Disrespect
the
is going
motherboard
live.
screws are good. I hope so, because I'm not sure
Okay.
if Screw Guy will get a second chance here.
I feel like that break was kind of
We
short.
can only hope that
Third chance.
a third chance. We can only hope that they're so benevolent. There's another thing that they failed on last time. So Starforge overall last time it was excellent assembly, with the issue being again screw torque and also the M.2 peel. These are all fully seated. Uh-oh. What's gonna
What?
be?
What are we looking
It's
at?
okay, they got the peel. So that's both primary critiques past this time, is attached to the SSD right there. Oh, that was in there. All right. Looks good. Just put as much suspense in there as possible.
All right, bro. Because for a second I was stressed.
Fun fact, this cooler manufacturer, Deepcool, has now been banned by the U.S. government. To be fair, Starforge had these in its possession for many months before that ban went out, and this was sold and shipped to us before that ban went out. But that makes it extra rare. And if you want to learn more about why they were banned, you can watch our hardware news episode. I'll link it below. We're going to take the
Is it
power
illegal
supply
to
out
have
check
one
the
or
last
illegal
few
to
screws.
distribute? Uh-oh.
Okay, so screw inspection, pass. 100%, 0 screws were too loose. So good job.
You can still
No
sell PCs with them?
issues
Okay.
really to speak of. So
Making sure we're not going to court.
the assembly here is excellent quality. Let's go to the next section. Let's start with BIOS. Starforge emailed our undercover customer account on August 16th, advising us to update BIOS and run the most recent microcode revision. The email linked instructions, recommended OCCT stability testing, and extended our motherboard, CPU, and RAM warranties for 4 additional years beyond the purchase date for 6 total. The instructions are clear, easy to understand, and most importantly, proactive. This is excellent handling of a problem that Starforge ultimately didn't cause. And appropriately, it's one that we think Asmongold, one of the owners of Starforge, is now experiencing with his own system on stream.
I knew it was going to work. See, the thing is that
This was Intel sucking ass, right? Didn't they have like some crazy $1 billion lawsuit? I don't know, some shit just completely fucked everything. Now, I still remember when people would omega lull at AMD. Anything not Intel was so bad. And then there was like a slow grind of AMD becoming better, and only the super tech nerds knew that AMD was better, and everyone else was like, well, I don't know, I saw this Reddit comment saying that Intel's the best. It took them like 2 years to get out of that. And now like AMD is just better. So much so Intel's getting lawsuited. It's fucked.
if there's one thing that I've learned in my life is that if you beat your head against the wall long enough, eventually you will break through that wall. You just have to do it for longer than anybody else.
And once degradation starts, Intel itself has said that new
So
microcode
stupid.
won't fix it and that an RMA is the only solution. So Starforge getting this message out to customers soon is important, and they're doing more for people than Intel, we think. On the other hand, if Asmongold ends up not needing his CPU anymore, we'd like to bore a hole through Asmongold's CPU and use a focused ion beam and transmission electron microscope to do failure analysis with a lab contact, but that might be another story. Back to the Loki. Our testing was performed with out-of-the-box settings. CPU LLC and BIOS was manually set to level 2, which is abnormal, but not a problem. This could be done to minimize voltage spikes if Starforge was aware of Intel's impending implosion, and maybe they were. PL2 was left at 181 watts, but PL1 was lowered to 125 watts, which is arguably the normal setting, depending on how you interpret Intel's Byzantine guidelines. Or maybe it's not normal, and Intel actually wants you to use the performance profile, except if it's not supported by the VRM, except don't use baseline for 13th or 14th gen K-SKU CPUs unless the VRM doesn't support performance, and remember that baseline isn't default, because default is all the settings, including baseline, performance, and extreme, and
Wait a second, I'm actually curious. He is live. Dr. Disrespect is. His title is The Truth. 125,000 views. I don't think I'm allowed to watch this on stream, am I? I only want to see like the first 10 minutes. Because it's like, what are you going to say? I'm curious. All right, let's keep going.
Intel strongly recommends applying these settings, except some prevail over
Wait, Asmon is watching? Oh, is he? Because if he is, I'm going to watch this. He fucking is. Okay, let's see. I have to know.